So let me set the stage, globalization and the euro area itself. As globalization means different things to different people, there are also many popular measures of globalization. The 2005 issue of Foreign Policy magazine ranked countries in terms of their degree of globalization based on a variety of criteria, including international travel and tourism, membership in international organizations, contributions to United Nations peacekeeping missions, international telephone traffic, internet hosts, and so on. The three most globalized countries turned out to be Singapore, Ireland, and Switzerland. The United States was number 4. When one looks at measures focusing more narrowly on economic globalization, however, the striking and not widely known fact is that Europe, and the euro area in particular, turn out to be more closely integrated with the global economy than the US itself. Globalization, if narrowly defined as growing trade openness in response to declining trade and transport barriers, has been ongoing for decades. And in that sense, it is certainly not a novel phenomenon. Over the last decade, however, this process appears to have accelerated. The increasing trade integration has been accompanied by signs of a rapidly growing interdependence of economies, also via production and financial interlinkages, with two broad factors that are at the source of these developments: the falling cost of moving not only goods, but also services and information, as I said, across borders. And second, there has been a large expansion in global productive capacity on account of the opening up of the emerging world. Against this backdrop, euro area external trade, as well as flows and stocks of foreign assets and liabilities, have been growing very, very strongly. This has been partly as a result of the increasing role of the new EU member states as trade partners, and of course this was the consequence of the fall of the Soviet Empire, as well as rapidly increasing imports from Asia and the emerging world. The trade openness of the euro area has increased rather markedly through time, especially since the early 90s, and is growing much more rapidly than in either the US or Japan. In particular, trade volumes have increased for the euro area from 33% of GDP over the period 97-2000 to 38% of GDP over the period 01 to 06. Over the same periods, figures for the US stand at 24% and 25%, and figures for Japan stand at 21 and 23. So very significant openness of the euro area, with export and import volumes continually and rapidly outpacing the growth rates of GDP over the past quarter of a century. You have all that on chart 2A and 2B in the documents which have been circulated. Meanwhile, over the past decade, world cross-border capital flows have also been growing strongly, increasing manifold, from 4% of aggregate GDP in 94 to more than 14% in 05 for the OECD countries as a percentage of GDP. That you find in chart 3A. A similar story holds for the euro area, 3B, where the ongoing strength of capital flows is reflected in the considerable increase in outward and inward FDI, virtually doubling from 20% of GDP to 35% of GDP as regards the outward FDIs, and from 15 to 30 as regards the inward FDI as a percentage of GDP since 99. Strikingly, I would say more strikingly, there I'm sure that I will surprise even a number of academics in this room. While euro area assets and liabilities, external assets and liabilities, at the end of 06 amounted to, respectively, to 148.4% and 160.5% of GDP, respectively, the same ratio in the United States of America were 104.2% and 123.5% of GDP. So not only we are, in terms of percentage of GDP, in this very vast continental economy of 320 million people to which we all belong, the euro area, not only we are more open in terms of GDP as regards trade, but we are more coupled to the rest of the world through financial assets and liabilities than the United States themselves. The first point is quite well known. I don't think the second point is that well known. And of course, it is very important to understand the dynamics of the euro area economy.